So I recently got a request on TikTok to do a review of Blink Twice. If you haven't followed me on TikTok, the link is down below. I post a lot more movie stuff on there. So if you haven't heard of Blink Twice, this movie came out a few weeks ago, and it basically follows Frida, who is a cater waiter at while she's catering a big party for tech billionaire Slater King. He ends up inviting her and her friend to his island with a bunch of his friends. And what should be a dream vacation turns out to be kind of a living nightmare. Great plot, right? Well, that's when we get into a little bit of trouble because while I do think that this film is very interesting and very enjoyable, there are some issues with it. But one of the things that it does not have a problem with is its cast. Its cast is absolutely incredible. I think the chemistry between all of them is great. Naomi Ackie, it does a great job leading this film and really holding this movie together. It is not an easy feat, and she makes it look very easy, which is just kudos to her talent. But I do think that the person who steals the show is Adria Arjona, who was a hitman with Glenn Powell earlier in the year. But I think I'm so excited for her. I love her in everything I've seen her in so far, and she just completely steals the show. She plays kind of a former reality star who was on this like Survivor type show, but with women in bikinis, and that's a whole messaging about feminism, about power structures, and TV and things of that sort, which was a very interesting like side commentary within the film. But yeah, she does a great job. Geena Davis is in this movie and makes you miss movies with Geena Davis. Like I wish she was in everything because she makes everything so much better. Alia Shawkat is also in this movie. She is most famous for her role as Maybe in Arrested Development, and I think she does an amazing job here. She's very charismatic. I just wish there was a little bit more of her. Channing Tatum plays tech billionaire Slater King, and this is probably the best I've seen him in. It's definitely the biggest leap, the biggest departure from anything he's done before, and I think that he really does make a name for himself in this movie.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
But kind of going back to Naomi Ackie and Adria Arjona, I really love the dynamic between them in this film. They start off sort of as rivals, kind of vying for the attention of Slater King. But when they need to go into survival mode, they really bond together. And I think that messaging of how when things are framed through kind of the patriarchal view, women are often pitted against each other, when in reality, they are really their biggest supporters and advocates for each other. I think that that's very interesting, and this film has a lot of really interesting themes and really important themes. Another one that I really liked was the compare and contrast between forgiveness and forgetting, and how you can't potentially not really do one without doing the other. It's very an interesting conversation, and while I do think some of the hints that are dropped throughout this movie are a little bit on the nose, not so subtle, I do think that the fact that they ring true gives the film a layer of earnestness that kind of makes things surprisingly more tense, because when they are so honest or trying to be so honest, I think that it really does bring you into this world a little bit more. I really appreciated the conversations that this film was wanting to start, and while I do think that it's one of those weird films that it opens up the room for a lot of conversation, a lot of questions, a little bit digging deeper. But once you actually dig deeper into the film, it kind of begins to fall apart. There are a lot of threads that are left loose. There are some holes here and there. There are some parallels with, metaphors and all of those things that don't quite line up in a way that's kind of meaningful. And so some things are, just kind of don't land as well as they should have. Also, one of the things that I really did not like about this movie, overall, I thought this movie was very entertaining, a very good debut feature, but I really hated that ending. I think that by trying to make Naomi Akkie's character gain more power, I think it actually ended up inadvertently perpetuating the cycle of abuse that I didn't totally love. And I think there were other ways to go about it, and other ways for her to regain some power, regain some autonomy over her own life without that happening. That being said, I do think I did not know what to expect going into this movie. I had a fun time. It was a wild ride with a lot of shocking moments and really good performances. And I think that Zoe Kravitz has arrived as a director. I think she kind of did a surprisingly, not even a surprisingly, she just did an amazing job with her debut. And I'm very excited to see what her future holds as a director, because we know she's a great actress. Um, but it will be very interesting to see what her follow-up film, if she decides to continue directing, which I think she should, because there's something special there. Um, she has a very unique flair, and I think that that is important, to have a very specific vision for longevity in this field. And I think she's kind of got it. So it's just about polishing up a little bit of the script, and then she's off to the races. I think this film was really good.